Hey nerds, we are going to do a review and breakdown of your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man episodes 1 and 2, starting now. Welcome back to the Nerd Social. I am Colin. So the synopsis of your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is an animated series that follows Peter Parker on his way to becoming a hero, with a journey unlike we've ever seen and a style that celebrates the character's early comic book roots. So the first two episodes were actually dropped today, and the title of episode 1 is Amazing Fantasy. It is written by Jeff Trammell and directed by Mel Zwyer. Episode 2 is titled The Parker Luck and is written by Charlie Neuner and directed by Liza Singer. So I had the privilege of being able to watch all of the season of your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man along with Nathan. Nathan has put up a spoiler-free review of the season overall, which you probably can click somewhere at the end of this video. But I just want to give my spoiler-free thoughts and then give a breakdown of the first two episodes. In terms of thoughts, I really like that it's the classic comic book, but it has a very modern feel to it. It has the right balance. And if you hear the intro song to the first and second episode, it really epitomizes that with the mixture of the classic 1960s animated series along with this new hip hop intro that they have. The storylines are also very intriguing, builds up the characters at a very good pace. You will feel that a lot here in this episode, and it does happen throughout the whole season as well. Each character seems to be a very integral part of the whole story. It's not just throwaway. It's not just things that you've seen in the past where it's like, it doesn't make sense for this person to be here. Why is that person here? I think that every character in the first two episodes are significant. The animation is top notch. It's a very different style than the Spider-Verse movies. Spider-Verse is a different type of animation, which is also very jaw-dropping and inspiring. This definitely has more of the classic feel of Spider-Man, and it might bring out a lot of the nostalgia for those people that really are interested in the old school Spider-Man. They spend a lot of time on the details. You can tell that they put a lot of care into the animation style, and also the storylines as well. So it's a very enjoyable ride overall. In terms of rating, I would give episode 1 a 10 out of 10, which is the theater rental. I love the crossover that was in this episode, and also there's a callback at the end of this episode. It's a very great start to the whole series, and it really sets the tone for something that's truly special in this series. For episode 2, my rating was an 8 out of 10, which is a road trip. I think that it was very hard to top the first episode. There's a tag at the end of each episode that really makes me want to watch the next one, and it really continues on from the first episode to the second episode. So those are my spoiler-free thoughts. If you enjoy more content like this, please like, share, and subscribe for more. We really appreciate your support, and we are growing on all of our social media platforms. So without further ado, I'm going to go into spoilers on the first two episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Spoilers ahead. All right. I want to just start off with some spoilery stuff in the universe that it's in, because I think that a lot of people got confused with what was this all about, because initially the title of this was Spider-Man Freshman Year, and they were talking about how this would be within the MCU, and then they pretty much changed course on that. So there is definitely some whispers to the MCU, but it's really not connected at all to the 616 universe that we're used to. The theme song, again, is an updated version of the 1960s Spider-Man theme song. You also heard it in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2 as well. There's also this contemporary feel to present day with phones and also with social media. that we'll get to in the breakdown of the episode. Finally, there's the Queen's logo at the beginning, which harkens back to Civil War, as well as catching the car hitting the bus, also from Civil War, not the comic book, but the movie, the free DVD player, and also the appearance of one Norman Osborn, which we'll get to in the breakdown. So again, those are some of the spoiler stuff that I didn't want to focus on in the spoiler-free part of this video. So we start off with Peter running late as always. So this is always the character that comes out and why he's almost such an everyman hero, because he has everyman problems. And so he is actually going to Midtown High for orientation here. And you can definitely see the comic book panels that are here in this scenario. And it really brings people back to that nostalgia of reading comic books. Even in the introduction of each of the episodes, it's like a comic book cover that's going on with the Marvel Comics group and all of those insignias and branding. And then he comes to this situation where he gets hit by a car. This is part of the trailer as well. And he said, I'm okay, I'm doing fine. So it brings a lot of that dorkiness, nerdiness that is with Peter Parker. But at the same time, he's a hero. But in this case, he's not a hero just yet. So we ended up going to see Midtown High, as I said, for the high school orientation. Aunt May drives them to the high school with Iron Man actually hanging in the car, which is really interesting to have that, because Iron Man is part of this universe, and we will see another character coming up that is also part of this universe as well. When he gets out of the car, he meets a new friend. Her name is Nico Minoru. And we also see a Venom-like creature come out with Doctor Strange. Benedict Cumberbatch is not the voice of Doctor Strange here, like he was in the What If animations. One other thing about Nico Minoru, she is one of the Runaways, and in the comics, her name is Sister Grimm. After the conflict with the Venom-like creature, they formally introduce each other, and he gets bitten by a spider. Now, this spider came from the dimension that was above where the Venom-like creature in Doctor Strange was coming from. He immediately faints, and he's knocked out, and we see the intro song of the first episode. We then get to see months later that he now has powers. He has the old school homemade costume, which is pretty cool. It's not the upgraded costume that you see, very similar to what you saw in Spider-Man Homecoming. In this scenario, he is saving Harry Osborn. We know that later on it is Harry Osborn, but he doesn't know who he is right now. He's just some young man that get caught up with these bullies that were trying to chase him down. We also find out that Peter is going, instead of Midtown High, to Bales High right now. And you can see the influence of social media, live streaming here. Initially, this was one of the bullies' live stream, and basically Spider-Man takes over the live stream, which was very interesting. This is a scene that we saw in Captain America Civil War. Again, this is not part of the 616 universe, but I think that they probably advanced enough of the story to make it seem as though it was part of the 616. But later on, they definitely switched gears to make it outside of that universe, to have more creativity and more storytelling license, so that's not bound by anything within the 616. We then get to see that Peter has a crush on a former babysitter. Her name is Pearl, but the problem is that the jock of the school, Lonnie Lincoln, beats him to dating her. So Lonnie was the one that really stepped up, while Peter was twiddling his thumbs and didn't get to have a chance to do that. Here, he feels very frustrated about the fact that he didn't shoot a shot, and basically Nico's typical Peter here. So before we get to this scene here, there was a scene that was really interesting, and it adds to the emotional tone of this whole season. There's consequences to what a criminal does, but at the same time, Peter has a humanity to him. And so he basically let this robber go who stole money from the pizza shop. So it's a very good emotional sequence that is in this first episode. I wasn't able to show it here because I didn't have a screenshot for that. He then heads home, replaying almost the exact scene from Civil War. This screenshot is like a substitute of the scene that's coming up, but instead of Tony Stark, imagine that is Norman Osborn. You saw some of the stills from the trailer of Norman Osborn. Norman Osborn is race-bent and is portrayed by Colman Domingo. He offers Peter an internship at Oscorp, while in Civil War, it was not that way. Civil War was basically Peter Parker dressing up as Spider-Man to fight Captain America at the airport. So it's a little bit different from what transpired there. Tony did present it as though it was a grant instead of an internship. So here you can see that he has this interaction with criminals where he's always quipping, and it really hits the tone of how he's able to quip with others. I think that in the 90s Spider-Man animated series, they did a very good job of having Peter as being this nerdy guy, but Spider-Man being this confident, quippy individual that's able to defeat all of the criminals and all the villains while having a smarmy, wise-ass take on everything. Here, Peter really wanted to be partners with Pearl in the science class. However, Lonnie then takes over and says that he wants to be partners with Peter. And so because of that partnership, he's able to really be part of the in crowd at the school and really become more popular as we go along in the second episode, because Lonnie really embraces him and also feels as though he can learn a lot from him. So he's not like Flash Thompson at all. I think that he has definitely a lot more heart and a lot more graciousness to embrace Peter for who he is. Even though he is perceived as though he's a jock, he really doesn't have that type of attitude towards Peter at all. Here at the internship, we find out that there were other people that were part of the Oscorp internship. We see Asha from Wakanda, and we're not really familiar as to what her background is just yet. We also see Amadeus Cho from the Lower East Side. We all know that he becomes the Hulk later on. Also, Jeannie from the Long Island. In the comics, she is Finesse. They're all interns. Dr. Whitman, who is the crotchety old man that oversees the interns, I'm not sure whether or not he is the Vulture. He has the crouch back. Who knows? But I don't know if they're trying to make him be the Vulture, because we know that is Adrian Toomes in the comics. We also see Dr. Carla Connors, who is, again, a gender and race bent character. So we know that she has one arm. She's the head of Energy Research Division. And so we know that she's going to be a big part of the storyline probably later on. We don't know when she's going to be Lizard just yet. The Stark reactor is also name dropped. So Dr. Connors basically becomes a mentor to Peter as he works on this project for the internship. There is a fight with this villain. His name is Butane. And after Peter was able to neutralize Butane, he saw that there was some strange symbol on his weapons. We don't know what these symbols are just yet. We then get to see the picture of Captain America and Norman Osborn. We know that there's going to be some crossovers throughout this series, and maybe we can see Captain America, maybe we don't. As you can see, Norman Osborn is also race bent, as well as his son Harry, which you saw back in episode 1. At the end of episode 2, we find out that Norman Osborn knows that Peter is Spider-Man. Like I said, in the spoiler-free part, there are definitely some tags at the end, which is almost like a post-credit scene. So it was a recurring pattern from the end of the first episode to now the end of the second episode, where you see that there are those intriguing nuggets that come about that makes you want more of it. So that's how episode 2 ended with your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. So tell us what you think about the first 2 episodes of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man by commenting down below. Like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. And we will see you in the next video. All right. Take care, everybody.